Hey guys, Marty Davsey here. Gonna be going over our first show, so welcome! That's supposed to be excitement jumping. So, this is gonna be the first show that I release. A lot of you might be asking what this is gonna be about. Well, it's not gonna be about Minecraft. So, for anyone who is misled, I just picked this game because it's a game I have, so for some, it might be a throwback. For others, it might be life. But I'm going to be having this in the background for today. What my show is going to be going for, we're going to talk about nerd stuff. We're going to be talking about, some video games. Talk about comics for sure. TV shows. Possibly movies down the road. I can't think of any on top of my head right now. D&D. We're gonna be talking about D&D. Probably maybe throw in some other RPGs that when we get the chance. Maybe a little bit of Magic. I like Magic, but I don't want to. There's a lot of good people talking about Magic, so I don't want to sound like a scrub. But while I am talking, I'll also be playing some game. Throw it back to something that I own. Sorry that my budget holds me, but we're going to go to one of my favorite games, Minecraft. That's not mine. This is a server I'm on, and that is what my group of friends have made. And as you can see, I like a challenge, so I make really fun, ugly buildings in the sky. And while I'm doing this, I think the main thing you'll probably be seeing me doing is just clearing out an area and really trying to build an underground fortress. I'm not a very competent builder in Minecraft. I'm not a really strong player of Minecraft. I know how to do it. I've been playing for a while, but I'm one of those people who's kind of casual. So, just forewarning, if it's cringeworthy, just close your eyes, watch another video. I don't know. I'm really just trying to get talking about things, getting discussions going on. So I'm going to be off doing that, and we're going to be starting the actual show now. So first thing I kind of want to go over is this past weekend. I actually started a show. I know it's been out for a little while, and I finally caught it on Netflix. It is called Luke Cage. So for those who don't know, Luke Cage is a hero in the Marvel Universe. Unfortunately, I'm not the biggest Marvel guy. I usually go to DC. Not that Marvel's not good. It's just, everyone's got their preferences, their favorites, and mine tends to be DC. But I won't lie, something about Luke Cage made me excited for the series. I didn't know much about him. I honestly knew nothing. I saw the trailer and I went, Oh, well, this looks interesting. Yeah, let's try it. And then I completely forgot about it because I saw it on YouTube at some point and then didn't think about it until I was actually marathoning a different show, rerunning one, and I needed a break from it because, you can only watch so much of your own, shows. I mean, this is the third time on the one I was watching. It's called West Wing. So I needed a little break. So I noticed on the new releases or something like that, Luke Cage. I'm like, you know what? Let's do it. And I'm not going to lie, I really enjoyed it. Like I said, I didn't know what to really expect going in, but I have to say, I really like the character so far. I will admit, I don't know if they're doing an accurate portrayal or anything, which can be a really, big thing for comic book junkies. I know there's been a few times I'll be watching show or movie of one of my favorite comic book characters, and I get really, ticked when they do something differently or not right. So for all you hardcore Luke Cage fans, I'm sorry if it's not to the adaptation or anything, but as a show, coming from a background of very little knowledge, I've been enjoying it, like I said, a lot. I like the main character. He's kind of this guy who holds himself to this higher level, doing, it just seems like he does everything he can to just be a nice guy, kind of a guy who doesn't use guns or something like that. Not saying that's how he does it, but it just feels that way. You know, he breaks a lot of guns, and you know, he also feels kind of real, like believable. Like, yeah, he holds his morals really high up there, but I don't know. I think the actor does a good job portraying it. The other thing with the show, the plot, you know, it's been intriguing. Some of it's been kind of predictable, well, cliche in some ways, and some of it, you know, I didn't expect it to go that way. One of my favorite parts is when the antagonist early on, he kind of seemed like a typical cliche almost, and then I got to learn more about him, and there was times where I actually felt really bad for the guy. Like, he's a terrible, terrible human being. Like, he kills people. Like, he's a villain, no question about it. But there's some moments where you see some humanity, some emotions come out, or, you know, some respect, law and order type thing. You know, he talks about, so it's based in Harlem, and he is a gangster type role, and there's times when he talks about, you know, the appropriate respects. Like, he's not, you know, like the Joker and all this chaotic, like, you know, the Joker, I like the Joker, but he's also, like, portrayed inhuman, as he should, because the crazy stuff he does. But this gangster seems, you know, human with some of the emotions you see at times. And it can make you kind of feel for him. There's definitely two major moments that made me feel for him. Overall, he's an ass. Pardon my swearing, if anyone cares, but he's an asshole. And he, you know, deserves what's coming, because, I mean, it's a superhero flick. The superhero goes after him, and stuff happens. But, you know, I felt bad for a guy. But, so yeah, Luke Cage. One day I went through all but like 3 episodes. So I'm definitely interested in getting to finishing it up, and hope there's more seasons to it. And it also makes me kind of want to watch Daredevil. I haven't done that yet. Like I said before, I'm not, you know, a big Marvel fan boy or anything like that. And Daredevil, just, I don't know much about him, so there wasn't much interest in watching it. And I had other stuff I was doing and stuff. So my friends definitely recommended it, and I'm sure it's great. Netflix has been doing a good job with the shows it makes, I feel. At least the ones I've watched. I'm sure they're not perfect or anything, but I've been entertained. And that's a big part about shows. I want to be entertained, and I feel like Luke Cage did that well. And I'm looking forward to more episodes of it, and I'm willing to try, you know, something else, trying to do that Daredevil stuff, trying to go a little bit into the more Marvel realm beyond just the movies. So moving on to the next thing, you know, talking about, you know, Marvel, DC, and all that stuff. A big thing I've been trying to get into again are some of the comics coming up. Now, DC has been going through a new kind of reboot type thing called Rebirth. As far as I know for it, basically the whole idea of this new reboot was to bring back some of the old stuff we liked and keep some of the new. Because if you didn't know, New 52 was a reboot that happened a few years back, and to me, I really liked it. But what happened was there was a lot of changes to the DC universe. One of the ones that's most prolific in my mind, there's more than this, but was Superman and Lois Lane weren't dating anymore or married or anything like that. It was actually Superman and Wonder Woman. And like I said, that's just one of the small of many things that happened. And, you know, some people probably didn't care for that. They don't like changing the status quo. There are certain storylines and all that these superheroes belong to. But with DC and all the alternate universes they do time travel now and then, and there's just so many adaptations. At this point, I actually really enjoy a new spicing things up let's say, it changes. I kind of like to embrace those differences. I wasn't always like that. I definitely know of a few times where I flipped when they would change up a story or something. But as time has gone on, and I guess when I got older, the same old story is the same old story. So seeing kind of a new turn on it was, very fun. An example of that is, I guess, in their DC animated movies. If you haven't seen any, I highly recommend them. They're very well done. They're very well done. They entertain the living crap out of me. Like they do a good job. I think there's been one that I just hated, and it was a Superman one, and I couldn't get behind it. Not that there's something wrong with Superman. I do enjoy a lot of different stories, and the new 52 actually brought in really cool stuff, in my opinion. But yes, there's like cliche, like Golden Age Superman, where he is, Mr. Boy Scout and most powerful being, and not much is going to get in his way. And there was a movie that kind of was that, which wasn't as interesting to me, because it's like, yeah, okay, he's really strong and stuff, but I don't want to see him as like a perfect figure. But sorry about that segue. But going back to me, I am starting to do the Rebirth. I'm usually not a big fan of week-to-week stuff. I like to marathon things. Lo and behold, that's what I did with Luke Cage. So I didn't really jump onto Rebirth in May. I kind of actually waited a little bit before I actually got into it, so that there was, some content out there, and I would be, entertained for a while. And so I started off with the Justice League Rebirth, and so far seems like it's keeping the same characters I know from the New 52, with the changes that happen at the last moments of the New 52. I don't want to say anything because it's kind of a big deal, and it would be major spoilers for those who haven't seen it. But if you really want to get into Rebirth, I believe it's one of the last Superman issues of the New 52 that you'd want to read, and you'd kind of get the start, and then you can read Justice League Rebirth, I think 0, or just look up some reviewers or something like that that can tell you the order to read things. But from what I can tell, it's kind of just starting off the New 52, but there's this new issue that's arisen that some of the characters are going to have to face, while still, dealing with same old. But like I said, I started the Justice League one, and I'm very interested. I don't know what's happening, and I don't think you would know what's happening if you were a diehard New 52 guy reading everything. I think that's what the writers were going for, and all I know is, like a Justice League comic kind of is, like, shit's hitting the fan, and it's hitting the fan fast. They don't know what's going on. I don't know what's going on, but I can't wait to see where this is going to take some of our favorite characters, some of these newish characters, same face, different body type thing going on. And I also plan to really catch up on the Rebirth. It's been about, 4 months since it's come out, so there's a few comics out, and there's a lot that I want to read. I was trying to go through the list and be like, I should pick a few of my favorite characters, and I'll just, read those. You don't want to read everything. There's going to be a lot to try and catch up on, and I'm starting to remember why I wasn't into comics for the longest time, and that's because I want to read them all. I really like DC, and I really like a lot of the characters. I have to continue on the Batman story. That was the one that I read the most comics with in the New 52, and it had some of the greatest Batman stories I've ever gotten to see. And I don't want to sound super cliche, but Batman's my favorite superhero hero in DC, and I was reading him in New 52. Court of Owls, one of the greatest graphic novels I've read, and one of my favorite Batman stories, just in all the different media. So he's a big I'm going to be doing. And then there's Nightwing. I also am a big Nightwing fan. I want to see Wonder Woman, the new Superman, the Green Arrow, the Suicide Squad. There's just so many. I basically want to read them all. I think the only one I'm not like jumping to read, but still interested, would be the Teen Titans, which isn't saying anything there's wrong with the Teen Titans. It's just there's just so many other ones that I just want to read now. So that's a big plan of mine. I'm definitely going to try and, get that going for this next week. Try and get as much of that as possible. But overall, again, really excited. You're going to hear that a lot from me. But that's another thing. I'm excited to see where it goes, how the writers do it. It's a big change because it's a reboot. And there's some, they show you things in the first reboot issue, and I'm not going to spoil it. You guys are going to have to watch it yourself. But man, what they showed us, I don't know what's going to go down, but it's going to be cool, hopefully, as long as the writing's good and stuff. But excitement. That's all I can say there. But besides reading comics, because, there's only so many comics I can read, rolls his eye sarcastically. The other big thing that I've been nerding out with, and this thing has been very reoccurring, is D&D. I am a big D&D guy. God, my voice. Sorry about that crack. I'm probably making some people shudder remembering puberty or something. But like I was saying, I'm a big D&D guy. I love it so much. It's almost a perfect game for me. I get to talk, I get to play with friends, and it's still kind of playing, a game with your character and stuff. You get to be as creative, ridiculous, the flexibility is there. And for loving it so much, I have not finished enough campaigns. One of the biggest problems I have faced with D&D is getting a group. First off, just getting a group. You might not think that's too hard, but when your friends love a lot of different type of stuff, trying to get, 5 to 6 guys dedicated, and girls, sorry, might be seen as sexist. I digress. But trying to get a group of people, especially around college age, on a regular basis can be kind of difficult with all the stuff they have going on. I know that with my group of friends, we weren't always in the same state, or because different colleges and stuff, and sometimes our schedules were just so different groups, different things going at different times. So It was definitely a struggle trying to get any campaigns, but lo and behold, eventually I got somewhere. But I now found a really cool system. It's called Adventure League, and if you're interested, I definitely highly recommend it. Essentially, what Adventure League is a lot of hobby shops or magic shops or whatever you want to call them. A lot of them do Adventure League, which is an organized mass group event every week at that shop in which everyone plays the same campaign in different tables, but same campaign, and they call them seasons and stuff. The nice thing is there's no committal. You don't have to come every week. You don't have to stay at every table. The big rule between week to week is don't do the same part of the story twice. So you might not be able to just go to any table, but you can go to you can move from table to table, and you keep track of your character with a log sheet, so you know what happened week to week, because not necessarily the same point with different people. You don't have the same items or levels and all that stuff, so you keep track of all of your experience and stuff. But it's been a great time. It's a reliable time every week that me by myself can go and play and I made a whole new group of friends who do D&D together. It's pretty awesome. And if you're ever interested in D&D, don't know what you're doing, these type of groups are pretty good. They're, at least the place I go, we're very friendly, help out new players all the time. And, we just want to enjoy ourselves and let other people, enjoy the same game that we're all having fun with. But for this Adventure League, you have different seasons and stuff. And this season, I believe, is called the Storm King's Thunder. And it's also the name of the pre-made campaign. And it's great. From what I've played, I've been happy. I don't really know where this story's going. So there's definitely times where, I'm just like, what's next? But I'm really enjoying my character. He's a charismatic sorcerer. He is, which was really important because I'm a big talker. I love to talk. You can tell right now, I'm kind of a guy who talks. And I was playing a campaign where I didn't have a talker, and I would always be talking. And I'm surprised no one told me to shut up because, my character didn't have the skill to talk. You try and do some persuading, trying to do some friendly chats, and it, you can't just say, oh, I automatically do that. You have to roll d20, see if you actually succeed. And if you're not proficient, you're not going to succeed. It's just as simple as that. But the Storm King Thunder brought in this really cool mechanic. So, for those who may not know, when you play D&D, usually you get to play one character. And that, sometimes you get animal companions, sometimes you get little special exceptions. And Storm King Thunder, they have a very special exception. Right now we're in this town, and it's, it's getting attacked by things. And, as adventurers, you adventure out and you kill the bad things to either get paid or glory or just be helpful and stuff. Well, this time, the book wants to, or Adventure League wants you to have a second character. Now, you don't get to create this one. I put some time into my other character, figuring out names and what route I want to go, what powers, just like any other RPG game. Nope, they just give you an NPC. They have a name, they have their own stats and stuff, and their own personality. And now you have to roleplay two different characters. And it's really interesting. I'm just like, I didn't expect that. I haven't had a campaign that's done something like this for me where I get to roleplay them at the same time. And they're not even necessarily in the same place when you start. Basically what happens is the town got attacked and everyone's in different places. Some people had theirs right next to them and some people had them far away from each other. And you had to try and figure out what they're going to do during this attack. But we got through our first session of it. We got through the first combat, and it was all right. I think I do a whole lot with mine personally, but that's because, there was a lot of big things, and it's a she, and she's not equipped for that, unfortunately. I mean, neither is my other guy. He wouldn't just charge into battle. He's a sorcerer, and she wasn't, really beefy in the HP area either. But we got through the first part, which was, success. We destroyed. I mean, it was a bunch of goblins. I mean, if you've never, I don't know how you've done this, but if you've never dealt with fantasy stuff, games, RPGs, or anything like that, goblins are generally pretty bad. So we beat them up. There were some ogres. They're a little bit tougher and whatnot. But like I said, we got through just fine. But the thing that makes me think, so I've done some DMing, so I kind of know some of the back scenes. And I also know Wizards pre-made can be sometimes really difficult. Like, I've had fights that were just completely unfair for the level they expected. And I'm not talking about, like, I was playing a game with a group, and we ended up somewhere that, like, got somewhere completely over level to us that we couldn't do anything. And so it was our own misfortune. It was like the first fight, and we just get destroyed, type thing. So I know that Wizards pre-made can be really challenging sometimes, at least the ones I've played. And so that's my record. And so one of the systems when making these fights is that you compare these two different scores. The first score is based off the players and the levels they are. So let's just say level 1 character equals 1 point, level 2 equals 2 points. So if you have a party where you have 3 1s and 2 2s, you would have 7 points. Good, yeah. So that's the first score. And then what you do is you compare that to the enemies, the monsters or what have you. So in a goblin's case, they might be worth maybe half a point. So 2 goblins can give a challenging fight to 1 level 1. So you'd want 14 goblins for that one party I talked about before. And so that's the basic principle of how you make an encounter in D&D. And usually it's pretty easy to fight those. Like, it's not supposed to be taxing. But the thing that gets me worried is, so in this campaign, we were given additional characters, NPCs, that are now in our control. Now, reading the Dungeon Master's Handbook, they do take NPCs into consideration when, at least in my case, we take the consideration of NPCs because they're another unit doing attacks. So to make it challenging, you need to take that into consideration when you're doing the whole scoring basis so that it's a fair fight. Because, I mean, if you didn't take that into consideration, if you had a mob of peasants versus with a lot of level 4s versus goblins, like, the mob of peasants can make it that much easier on the adventurers. But what I'm trying to get at is that they gave us NPCs, meaning that the combat should be more work. Now, I told you the first one went just fine, and there's 2 type of encounter scoring. So there's the first one where you have the individual battle. Sorry, I was talking with my hands. If you saw me stop moving my head. But like I was trying to get at, you have the little battle. So you have the immediate battle. You have 6 goblins in front of you, and you have to fight them, and you're done in like 5 minutes or so, or whatever, like some believable time adventures get done fighting goblins. Good for you. You defeated the goblins. Now there's another number, and that number has to deal with a day to the character. So what a day gets classified as is between the 8-hour rest. So you have to do resting. There's an hour one that's a short rest, catch your breath a little bit, and then there's another one where you have to sleep for the night, because I mean there's still adventures, there's still characters who need a rest. And so that day has another unit score for how many experience you have to go through in that time. And again, you take those NPCs into consideration. Each character should be able to get this much experience in a day, and then you add that all together, and that's roughly how much you can do in a day, at least my understanding. So first one went easy. That's good. That's great. But we have 2 times as many characters, meaning we're probably going to be going through 2 times as many encounter worth of experience. So it's going to be a long attack. Like, I'm expecting my next session, which is next Wednesday, I'm expecting a lot of fighting, and as a spellcaster, one big kind of downside is that you only get so many spells per day, and you don't get those back until you do a long rest. So my big uber powerful stuff is limited, and that should be fine. But I always like keeping a couple big spells in my pocket, but when you're getting trashed by ogres and goblins, sometimes you need to do those area effects. So I'm excited, thrilled, and also very nervous as to what shall be coming next week. But in the end, I will say that Storm King's Thunder has been interesting so far. It's only been a few, it's been like 5 sessions so far, so we're not too far in it, but I'm happy with it. I think other people should try it. It's it gets the experience rolling. Usually it takes, so you can get the first level like right away, just like any other RPG. You get the first couple levels pretty quickly. So when you hit third to fourth, where it can take a little bit more time, and like fourth to fifth takes more time, but this one has just hit the ground running. Like, you're supposed to be getting experience really fast. So I definitely recommend it for advanced players who just want to get to the higher levels quicker. And it wouldn't be bad for new players either. Of course not. But for those experienced players who just hate doing that level 1 grind to 2 to 3, I think this might be the campaign for you. Usually Adventure League does experience, so every creature gives you so much experience to fight among the party. No, they're doing milestone. They, like, and they're, the first 4 are really easy, so they want you up there. So it's a great refresher from the same old, same old. So moving on to the next part of my agenda, I have a little notepad in front of me that I'm trying to read off of while playing Minecraft. Fortunately, in this game, I don't really have to worry about monsters attacking me every second, so that's something. But what I'm staring at for my next thing is a game of the week that I kind of want to highlight. I do one of those, borrow games type system, and try to move it out as many times in a month as I can. But sometimes I get stuck. One of the greatest ones I got stuck in was Fallout 4. I started that, was very entertained, and then I actually ended up buying it because I just didn't want to stop. But that's not the game of the week. Fallout 4, great game. Have fun with it. But this game of the week is Telltale Games Borderlands. So, I've only played one other Telltale game. It was the Minecraft story, which was interesting story. I was entertained. It got me through the first parts of it. I think there's still one more episode I need to do, but I finished like the main part of the story, I think. But usually they don't kind of grab to me. Like, I saw the Walking Dead one. That one got spoiled to me, so I didn't really want to watch it. And then there's Game of Thrones, and I just wasn't too interested. But I kind of just put on my list the Borderlands one, because you make a list, a queue, and it wasn't my top choice, but it came to me, and I am very happy it did. Me and my friends played a lot of Borderlands 2. I think we bought all the DLC for it on sale on Steam and stuff, because, who's going to pay full value? But we played a lot of hours on that, and we still, go back to it once in a while. And I absolutely loved the game. Like, there's so much in it. It had great dialogue. It had fun gameplay mechanics. Some of it at the higher levels when you're trying to be perfect is kind of hard to do, or the grinding to get the better guns. But, just going through it a few times, I had a lot of fun. And again, the dialogue. I absolutely love the dialogue and the stories. The side missions were great because they were just so different and out there, and so much entertainment. If you haven't played Borderlands 2, get it for cheap. I think you'll like it if you like just ridiculous games. But I played the prequel sequel. A little disappointing. Like, it was fun through the first gameplay, but it didn't have the longevity that I got from Borderlands 2. They had one good DLC for the prequel sequel, so that when I was still paying attention. And I did like the Claptrastic Voyage, but overall, like, it wasn't enough to keep me going. So that kind of died down. So, a little worry where Borderlands was going and stuff. But, I put this in the Borderlands Telltale game, and I'm not even like halfway through the first episode, and I am laughing so hard. And I'm not always the guy to laugh out loud, but this game had me going. It was definitely holding up to like the old, what I remember from the Borderlands 2 dialogue. It's funny. It can be ridiculous at times. And the way they kind of incorporate some of the characters from the main game, because they're not the center point. It's two other people, and it gives you a really different perspective on the setting of Pandora. and Hyperion and stuff that you just don't see when you play the actual game. Not the actual games, but the more shoot 'em up side of the game, and it just keeps getting me. The most recent one, what was it? I think it was at 4 where they go back into space. Oh, there's this moment with this diamond pony, and I'm not going to go much farther than that. For those who know, it's Butt Stallion that I'm talking about. And those who don't know who Butt Stallion is, seriously, play Borderlands 2. It's great. But there's just a moment with Butt Stallion, and it just killed me. It was hilarious. Not a thing I would have expected, but it was great. And so if you really like Borderlands 2, if you really like that dialogue and stuff, and I guess if you like the other Borderlands, like this brought back that funny dialogue. I highly recommend it. Go out and try it. I don't know if I'd pay full price. That's a bold statement right there. I'm a very frugal guy, but I am not upset that I got it in my queue to play. Honestly, I'd almost just watch someone's gameplay of it too, to try and get an idea of what's going on. Though, the hard part about Telltale games, I'm guessing for gameplay is, well, there's just so many decisions you can pick and dialects you can get out of it. So you might miss out on some stuff that got me going, but, if you got some spare change, if it's on sale or something, and you like Borderlands 2, why not try it? Worst comes to worst, if you don't like it in the first hour, just return it on Steam. Not that I'm saying you return stuff, but I mean, that's what that policy is for. If you don't care for something, dislike my video if you didn't like it. I don't know, bad recommendation, but I think it was great. So definitely get that whirl, and that's definitely going to be the game of the week for me right now. And I guess that kind of is coming to the end of things, at least for this week. I guess I could talk a little bit about Magic. Kaladesh came out. It's a fun set. For those who don't know about Kaladesh, well, that's unfortunate. I like Magic. It's a good game, but I'm not going to really delve deep into that, at least not now, because there's a lot of people who talk about that, and I am just too impulsive in that game to really know the true lowdown in it of anything. But like I said, that's going to wrap things up for this week. I know this is really boring gameplay, me removing this wall, but I guess I can give you a little tour quickly of this. So this is my underground fortress I'm trying to build. As you can see, I have a gateway type thing. This is where I first started mining. But my envisioning is that, we have this gateway. You walk in, magical. And I'm going to probably raise that ceiling really high. So it's going to be kind of like outdoors, inside type idea that I had in my head. So that's going to go much higher. And there's going to be this fortress. I liked granite. It looks kind of like copper. But we're going to go on the inside. And this is just floor 1. You can kind of see the layout. We're going to have a room here. A room over here. I put half slabs down because of the bedrock in my way. Got something over here. We're going to have like a middle area of some sort. 2 small rooms down here. It'll be interesting. There's definitely going to be attempt at multiple floors. So my one issue with large structures is I don't know what to do with all the space. Like really, like I just need one storage room and one chest out here with my special things. Very simplistic person. But yeah, that's the project I was working on. Just clearing out the outside. As you can see, I found diamonds. But hopefully I'll get a little bit farther. In the long run, when I get done with that, I think I'm going to try and build an elevator. So I had to find slime. And unfortunately, that one slime guy that we saw didn't drop anything. But I'm probably going to make a slime farm somewhere. I just need to find the coordinates and stuff. And see what happens. My server guy is actually going to update this. This is 1.9. Going to be going to 1.10-2 or something. I don't know, Minecraft language. But that's a little bit about this world and what's happening. And these are my favorite trees. I just like that orange. And as you can see, I've been using for stuff. But yep, that's the project. Sorry if it was kind of boring just clearing out stuff. But I really wanted to talk about things. So if you enjoyed it, please subscribe. If you didn't like it, say so in the comments. It's YouTube. You need to break my spirits in the comments, or else I don't think you're doing your job as YouTube commentators. Or you could say something nice. That's cool. But like and subscribe. I hope you enjoyed it. Have a good night.